Hey everybody, welcome back to Majestic Collectibles Irregular Podcast. I'm actually shooting two podcasts in a row, so if you watched the last one where I talked about non-superhero genres in comics, this is about 30 seconds after that one ended. I switched shirts. I got two new Godzilla shirts in, and I didn't mention it in the last one, but I got a couple more. My sister likes to comment on them. So here you go, sis. I got, what was it? Got Zuki here, and which other side? Got Ghidorah. I don't know who's all on this one. I just literally ripped the package open and put it on. So anyway, so this one. So the topic. This is another good one that I got from Corey. I got to write this down so I know I did it. Comics are around 20 years from now. That is quite a statement, I have to admit. What does the market look like for the buyer of new and back issues? Avoid gloom and doom talk, assuming the collecting market survived or grew. So, a couple of things going on. There's a little bit to unpack here in this topic. I don't know if it is going to be here 20 years from now, just to be clear. And I don't want the doom and gloom. It's just a marketplace thing. Folks don't read comics, not American comics. And something in the industry is going to have to change. I don't know what that is right now. So they're going to have to do something now to make sure it is here in 20 years. What that something is, I don't know. I honestly don't. So the market of new or used, I don't think there's going to be a lot of stuff in print. I think, it's kind of started already. I think DC whacked a bunch of titles late 2024. Maybe Marvel did too. I'm not up on the super new stuff. I do think you're going to see smaller titles, but I think the quality of both the art and the writing are going to be better because it hasn't been very good. So I think there's going to be some big industry-wide change, and hopefully people are going to start reading these again. And I think that's going to drive 20 years from now. It drives the market kind of sort of now in the genres. Watch the last video. I talk about that a little bit. So I think that's really what's going to have to happen is people are going to have to start enjoying them and reading them again, and the collecting is kind of going to reset. I think you're going to see a lot of dollar boxes, a lot of genre focusing. May not be superhero. I do wonder if it's going to be superhero or a different genre, and what that might be. I don't know. But I think it's going to be here. I don't see it going away. Something really, really, really bad would have to happen. Hit by an asteroid, kind of bad thing, for that to be totally not a thing 20 years from now. So let me answer this. So what does the market look like? I think the market is going to go away from print. I think it's going to somehow end up, my kids are in their 20s, and they don't collect much physical stuff. If that makes sense. So, they have a lot of virtual things on their phone, computer, laptop, whatever. It's the opposite of what I do. So I don't get all of it, but I think you're going to see that. So the whole idea of collecting anything, not just comics, just having piles of stuff laying around, I think that's going away and has been going away for some time. So I think in the future, you're going to see a very slimmed down kind of collector. Well, maybe they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, whatever it is, but a small amount of stuff they really like and they really want to have around, taking up space wherever they're at. The rest of it, I don't know. To be honest with you, I think it's going to have to be really cheap to keep people interested. And I think that's been the same for a long time too. So as far as radical changes that way, I think moving away from print's going to be the big focus. Something that's interesting in talking about the comic collecting aspect to this, not just collecting in general, because a lot of what I just said is pretty much the same across the board. Trading cards have a huge advantage, okay, because you can fit a lot of them in a really small space or in a binder, put them on your bookshelf, whatever. It's a little harder with the comics and even the Legos and pop figures, and you just need so much room for them. So on the comic stuff, collectors, I think it's really going to shift to like a manga style. Now I've been a manga fan, reader since, boy, I want to say mid to late 80s. It was really hard to find, especially American translations of it. And it's very formulaic. But where they differ with the American stuff is they don't put out 15 different versions of the same thing. Like you have 5, 6, 7, 8 X-Men titles or Spider-Man titles or Batman titles every single month. And they only put one out, 4 to 6 times a year. Generally 4, but sometimes 6. Depends how fast the author's working on it. And you're holding a book for like $15, let's say, for a manga book right now today, but you got like 200 to 300 pages. And then you go buy an American comic book for $5 to $10, and you're looking at what, 18 to maybe 30 some pages, depending on the special editions and so on. And so there's kind of a bang for your buck thing, even though it costs more, the manga. I think you're more satisfied reading it, and that's where I think that's where things are really going to change for the comics in particular. Is they're going to start listening to the people that aren't flipping these, aren't grading these, aren't trying to take them to a show, buy them off the shelf on a Tuesday or Wednesday and take them to a show on Saturday and say, hey, I'll mark it up 3-4 times. I think to have a healthy collector market, you just don't do that for any of it. Beanie Babies, Barbies, all these things I mentioned, even Legos in the 90s, late 80s and 90s kind of whiffed. And they all went back to basics of like, hey, what makes this interesting to as many people as possible, right? Just narrow it. You can only come out with so many pinup covers on a comic every single month and have 3, 4, 5 copies, variant covers, just with pinup and no other difference. So I think you're going to see a shift, a paradigm shift, if you want to use a fancy term for it, where most of the collectibles, I think you're going to have not as many physical collectibles. You're going to be more of your small collectibles. And this is where Japan again, their little keychains, their phone fobs, their little cutesy kawaii stuff, their little gashapon toys and machines. They have much smaller and more condensed living in the large cities in Japan. Smaller houses, less room. So they've for a long time made miniature stuff, I want to call it. It's not these big, huge pieces like you saw my Star Wars collection videos, the vintage Star Wars, and the AT-AT's like 14 inches tall and what, 12, 14, I don't know. It's huge, right? And they don't do a lot of that. And so they really catered to their market, where if people, couldn't put fit it in their space, like, oh, well, we'll just do it really nice and shrink it down. Okay, and I think you're going to see that. I think you're going to see a lot of that in the next 20 years for everything, is that, if people want it, but they don't have room for it, they don't want to display it, they don't want to, store it. I think that's the answer. So I think we need to learn in the American collector market from some other markets. And then I think we'll be okay. I think there will be a very active collector market out there. It may not be comics. I see it going more for your movie, TV, streaming kind of stuff. I've selling a lot of Bandai model kits, Gundam kits. That's the Gundam Robot series has been all over Netflix. So Gundam Seed and Witch from Mercury. I mean, they're all pretty much hitting Netflix. And Bandai did a really smart thing, and they put the Netflix logo on the new model kit boxes. So if you hold up the model kit, it's got the red Netflix banner in one corner on the Gundam kits because it was in one of the animated shows. And that actually seems to have helped an awful lot, to be honest with you. And I wouldn't call them necessarily collectors, in the sense where they have to have one of everything. I think that's been, gone a long time. People putting long runs of comics or full sets of trading cards together. They just want certain ones. And that's the same thing. It's the same thing with the model kits. But I think it's opened it up to a much broader audience. I think their marketing and their reach is really good. Now, interestingly enough, none of this stuff we're talking about here, except for maybe pop figures, you don't see it in the Walmarts. You don't see it in the Targets. You don't see it in the big box stores. You see it in shows and specialty stores, right? Conventions, if you follow the anime or even the comic conventions. So something else that I think will evolve and will change. The comic and collector stores that are around today are gonna evolve. I think they're gonna be smaller. I think they're gonna carry just certain pockets of very popular merchandise. I know the GameStops, at least here locally in Central Iowa, they've all kind of ripped off a wall, as a matter of fact, in the one by me, and it's all Pokemon. They always used to have it, be in this display or that display. Well, now they've kind of gone, in with both feet 100%. And I see that changing with the times. American companies in particular have been really, really, really slow, I think, to the market, to react to the market. And they do have a tendency to I guess, backed the wrong horse, if that makes sense, on some of the titles, what they've written with some of the characters. They're kind of grasping at straws for markets and readers and market share. And all that they're going to figure it out. Now, who's going to be left? I honestly don't know but it'll be there. And once they get it figured out, I think you're going to see going forward a really, really strong focused market. I'm in my mid-50s right now, and I've enjoyed comics and slot cars and those little vibrating football boards. And that's something I have just done from childhood, picked them up. I do not go to big shows to get them. I do not jump in on national auctions if I don't have it. I just enjoy it for what it is and really, really like it and appreciate it. So I'm not hardcore on them. And that's probably why I'm still collecting at my age. I'm meeting a lot of folks younger than me. They really got burned in COVID on non-sport trading cards. That'll be an interesting industry 20 years from now. I can really see some of that going virtual, except for your autographs and patches, because everybody's popping open the cases and the boxes for this big ginormous hit. Nobody's really paying attention to the other stuff. It's just kind of packing material in a lot of that. So I think that's going to be, it's hot right now, and it certainly had its ups and downs. But whether that's going to be in that format 20 years from now, I kind of think maybe not. I kind of think that's going to be maybe a little more virtual or virtual based. As long as people are playing the game, everybody's like, oh, they'll never go away from print. I got news for you. You can play the game if it's not on a piece of cardboard. If it's a CGC, TCG. Magic, actually, I'm not big into that. May not even be active. I think it probably still is, but they came up with an online card gaming system I think is really good. I'm not into it, but I was really impressed with the job they did. D&D, I mean, there's a certain nostalgia for the old books, but that's moved online. You can play it online and get groups together from all over the world and run campaigns, short and long. So the market is very fluid. The companies need to catch up, and the American companies have not done as good a job right now. But Disney and Marvel, they'll figure it out. DC, I think with Warner Brothers, they've had a lot of staff changes. I don't know if any of them in 20 years are going to be printing anything, but I assure you they will have merchandising in some way, shape, or form. And there's always going to be collectors, and I can't even imagine, things change so fast, what it might be. This is what, was really curious to me about this question. Are they still going to be collecting comic books in 20 years? I'm not. I don't collect hardly any now, just a few, pre-code horror books. But I don't know, it'd be really, really fun to see. And I think you're going to see a lot of this change, whether it be characters, whether it be the format it's printed in, whether it be the type of person buying it. In other words, I don't know if there's going to be too many people in my age group. I think it's going to reset, and I think that would be really healthy for the market. The market has been very volatile. My generation, Gen X's and baby boomers, really drove the prices up and the interest up on a lot of this. And 20 years from now, there's not going to be hardly any baby boomers, just the youngest ones close to my age group. And the Gen Xers, I don't think they're going to be collecting. I don't think my generation, when they're 75, is going to be collecting much. So, you're going to see kind of a renaissance, is what I think is going to happen. And it'll be fun. I hope I'm around just to watch it and enjoy it. I certainly have with my kids. They collect very differently than I do. They're very interested in very different things. They grew up with comic books. Neither one of them collects comics. They're not into it. It's all kind of on the phone, electronics. I think your gaming is really starting to drive this. Your Nintendo stuff. You've seen the hits for Sonic, which I should have mentioned in the last video, is one of the better non-superhero genres for comic collecting. So that stuff is I'm guessing is where this is going to go. I think you're going to see long-term Godzilla, which I'm a huge fan of, which is not going anywhere. It's been reinvented several times. I don't know how many times you can reinvent that wheel. Boy, it works. I mean, it is just an absolute unstoppable juggernaut. On the Godzilla stuff, your Pokemon stuff is right there right now. I think your Gundam, manga, anime type stuff is going to be there. So I think it's going to be a really healthy market. Just a very different looking market than I guess what we're used to right now in 2025. And that's okay, because if it doesn't evolve, if it doesn't change, if it doesn't move with the times and the people that like this stuff, it is going to die. And so I think, while some companies may come and go, maybe some characters, genres come and go and fade out, I think 20 years from now, it's going to be a pretty healthy market. Just couldn't tell you what it is, but I hope I'm there to find out. So thank you again, Corey, for all the great suggestions. I appreciate it. Thanks for watching, guys. And I still got a bunch more topics, so check those out, and we'll catch you next time.